Egotastic FunTime.
Hey gang, I'm obviously JP and welcome back to Talking The Orville on Egotastic FunTime. Today, we're going to have a great time talking about Captain Mercer finding himself in a creel or be creeled situation with a blast from his past. Gordon figuring out if he has what it takes to move up through the ranks of command and whether or not humanity can find common ground with Avis's divine creations by enlisting the help of a piano man. In this latest episode of the Orville, nothing left on Earth excepting fishes.
In this episode, the Orville has been assigned to the exciting mission of delivering supplies to Epsilon 5. Kelly notices that Ed's been in a much better mood lately, especially when Lieutenant Tyler is around. But not as good of a mood as Lieutenant Tharl is when allowed to keep it totally cash at work.
Righteous. Mellow alert.
Ed and Janelle have a date night watching The King and I, and Ed reveals that he thinks he's ready to go public with their relationship. Janelle suggests they should take a trip together to celebrate. In the mess hall, Ed reveals to Gordon that he's been dating Janelle and wants advice on whether or not he should tell Kelly about their relationship. Gordon is happy that Ed has finally found a woman that checks all his boxes and just wants to make sure that every box has in fact been checked.
Have you guys done it yet?
Have we done it?
Well, have you?
Ed goes to Kelly's quarters to make his relationship with Janelle known. Kelly says she already knew about Janelle because she knows Ed so well, and that she was happy for him, and she'll take care of the supply run so they can go away together.
It's just so sweet! She really loves him, you know? Why aren't they together? I mean, sup, brosif? Boobs are totally cool. I'm a man.
While out on a romantic excursion together, the couple detect a convoy of Krill marauders moving toward them and quickly go to cloak in the hopes of not being seen, but are discovered anyway when the marauders vent drive plasma to reveal Ed and Janelle's location. A Krill heavy cruiser shows up, capturing their shuttle in a tractor beam. Meanwhile, Kelly and Vortis are discussing security personnel when Gordon arrives to let them know that he'd like to enter the Shipmaster Qualification program to become a commander.
Future captain right here.
He will fail.
Held captive, Ed is told to hand over his command codes to the Krill, or Janelle will be killed to death. Ed demands to see Janelle, and Talea tells him that Lieutenant Tyler no longer exists because she never existed. Janelle Tyler was Talea in disguise the entire time! The Krill ship then finds itself the target of a hostile takeover by monkey remans, known as the Shocktal, with a score to settle with the Krill. And Gordon finds his psych evaluation with Dr. Finn is a bit more challenging than he thought.
Oh man, that is disgusting.
What do you say?
Let's move on.
Moving on.
Ed and Talea work together to make their way to a Krill pod to escape the Shocktal and crash land on the dark side of a nearby planet. Ed awakes to find himself at the boom end of a hand cannon and is forced to carry a transmitter to higher ground in order to let the Krill know where they are before being discovered by nearby Shocktal soldiers. All the while, Ed trying to find out if Talea enjoyed any of their time together when she was disguised as Lieutenant Tyler.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. You like that one?
I found the hero sympathetic. What was his name? Belloc.
Belloc. Those are the Nazis. They were the bad guys.
Back on the Orville, Gordon finds himself face to face with a Krill captain who's ready for war and must find a diplomatic solution to defuse the situation before it's too late. During a holographic test simulation, that is. But don't worry, you guys, Gordon's totally got this.
You will release the prisoners or you will die.
We also eat a lot of protein. You know, fresh fruits and vegetables, that kind of thing. Very, very healthy diet. I mean, occasional sweet.
With the rising sun's UV rays being deadly to a Krill, Ed and Talea are forced to take shelter in a nearby cave and wait for nightfall before they can get the Krill transmitter to higher ground and signal a rescue. Talea continues to claim that her and Ed have no common ground and that Krill are Avis's true divine creation, separate from other animals because the universe was created for Krill Dominion and Krill Dominion alone. Talea awakes to find Ed outside of the cave, standing in the sun out of her reach. Turns out the daytime on this planet lasts lasts for 23 days. Ed convinces her to trust him to make the trip alone, to set up the transmitter and save them both. After successfully using the signal to send a distress call to the Orville instead of the Krill as Talea planned, Ed heads back to help her escape the Choctaw who have begun closing in, using his jacket to protect her from the sun. Gordon and Bortus arrive to the rescue in a shuttle, much to Talea's dismay, and Ed has to get her to trust him so he can get them both out of harm's way, narrowly escaping with their lives back to the Orville. Afterwards, and to Kelly's duly noted objections, Ed decides to let Talea go with the hopes of creating some sort of dialogue between their two people, truly believing that she is more than just a Krill spy with an appetite for revenge, only pretending to be a human woman to him. And Kelly finds out another reason Gordon wants to become a Union commander.
Are you doing this to pick up chicks?
Did it cross my mind? Sure.
Wow, you guys, last week I said the episode where Lara went home was quite possibly the best episode of the entire season so far, but I was wrong. Nothing Left on Earth Excepting Fishes is now a possible contender for that title as well. Such an amazing episode, and it really got us back to what was set up in the season 2 premiere, with Ed being lonely and sad and offhandedly wishing he had a Krill invasion or something like that to distract him, to help him get through. And then all of a sudden, who shows up? She's right on time, Lieutenant Janelle Tyler. This episode was great to me, not only because it was a classic example of the types of thought-provoking stories that good sci-fi can offer, but it had some social parallels to modern day issues of trying to find common ground with other cultures that have completely different ways of seeing the same exact world. When trying to get through to Talea in the cave, Ed told her that from what they understood of Krill history, they were far less radicalized before they discovered space travel, and that in most cases, when a species begins exploring the stars, they either embrace the fact that they're not the center of the universe, or their xenophobia ramps up and they become like a destructive force. This, of course, is dealing with our own planet's struggles with Eastern and Western civilizations and toxic forms of nationalism and an us versus them type attitude that really holds us back from advancing in a world where, and some people are like, hey, you guys aren't as good as we are, and so that starts a whole other thing where other people are like, oh, why aren't you more like us? But then there's other people that are like, oh, I see what you're saying. Gee, sorry guys. People usually don't let me talk about smart stuff for that long, and I just got lost. But what I'm trying to say is that the episode was even more gooder than I thought it was going to be. Even though it was all a ruse, it was nice to see Ed in love with Hot Pants Janelle Tyler, even though she turned out to be a two-legged albino alligator terrorist, but who can make a mean grilled cheese sandwich, and that's really important for any relationship. Back when I predicted that Janelle was probably a Krill spy, I figured that she must have gotten her hands on that holographic device thing that Ed and Gordon used to disguise themselves as Krill last season, but I was completely wrong. Instead, the Krill used a painful transcellular micrografting surgery to make her into a human so that she can fool the Union's bioscanners. I really didn't know how long the show was going to take to play out the whole Janelle being a Krill spy thing, but I'm glad they advanced the story pretty quickly and didn't let it drag out over half of the season before revealing she was actually Talea the whole time. Though I'm sure we haven't seen the last of her by a long shot. Hell, she might not show up again till next season. We'll just have to wait and see. And because the type of change that Ed is hoping to see with the Krill is more the type of thing that occurs over generations, not over a single season of television. I really like that Talea is obviously having an internal struggle between the experiences that she had with Ed and a lifetime of indoctrination that has taught her that only Krill have souls and all other races are basically animals. So as of right now, when it comes to her seeing humans as equals, well, that's not her style. I don't know if you guys picked up on the importance of Ed putting his jacket over Talea to protect her from the sun at the end. It was the same gesture he made during their movie Date Night, where he draped his jacket over her to help keep her warm. And everybody knows that's a classic baller move. I'm sure that night, Ed got canoodled horde. Ed had to try and get Talea to trust him multiple times throughout the episode in order for both of them to survive, and hopefully that act of never giving up hope will begin to build a bridge to peace between their two people. Even though they didn't start the fire that's always been burning since the world's been turning, Ed's got a way about him that might get through to her. Personally, for me, the story harked back to the film Enemy Mine, starring Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr., where a human and an alien whose worlds are at war with each other have to work together to survive all alone on a deserted planet. They're able to find common ground and form a strong, everlasting bond, even though they don't speak each other's languages. I was also reminded of a few different episodes of The Next Generation, but most notably Darmok, where Picard is stranded on a planet with a member of an alien race who only speaks in metaphors. They have to work together to Shaka when the walls fell, until Timba his arms open wide. Gordon's request to start command training was a lot of fun, you guys. From the season premiere, we could kind of tell that Gordon's starting to feel a bit lost. He's going through something, like he's trapped in a no man's land of mediocrity. He was losing confidence in himself, and he struck out Lieutenant Tyler by never even taking a swing. Though he's probably feeling like pretty good about that, because she ended up being a Krill spy the whole time. I mean, talk about dodging a bullet, because that Krill cray. I loved the command simulation scene where Gordon came up with the idea of a fake technology to try and trick the Krill into backing down. This basically parallels an episode of Star Trek, the original series, the Corbomite maneuver, where Kirk lies about a substance being aboard the ship called Corbomite that reflects any fired weapon back onto the attacking ship in order to trick Baylock into backing down. You know, it's a classic I'm rubber, you're glue standoff type of situation. Gordon's quest to rise through the ranks was fun, but I do have to say the Rorschach test joke didn't quite land that well. I think it would have been better to have a quick succession of scenes of him failing a couple of different types of psych tests, with the final Rorschach test ending the evaluation. Sorry, Gordon.
Okay, this is a hostile work environment.
But I'm really glad he came clean about why he was really taking the command test. And no, I'm not talking about trying to pick up chicks, even though he was trying to pick up chicks. He allowed himself to become vulnerable when talking to Kelly, and he decided to tell her about it. That he wants to prove to himself that he's more than just a pilot and can hopefully be a big shot someday in the Planetary Union. Now here's something I wanted to bring to your guys' attention and see what you guys think, because something stood out to me in this episode. It's the scene where Talea tells Ed that she escaped from the Union and set out to get revenge on him. And Ed asks her how she escaped, and this is how she responded.
After I was interrogated by your Union, I escaped.
How?
That is unimportant.
Nothing is irrelevant, you guys. You don't just gloss over something like that. How did Talea escape? I mean, she must have had help of some kind, but who? How? I'm sure she was under heavy lock and key by the Union. Even from the season 1 pilot, we know that the Krill are able to plant their operatives within the Union. We know that they're able to disguise themselves as humans via the transcellular grafting surgery. We know that a human can't tell the difference even when canoodling with an altered Krill, because an altered Krill's canoodle must be equipped with oodles of caboodles of canoodle making doodles, aka butt stuff. In order to infiltrate a Union ship to earn the trust of a captain so that he can be lured away from the ship, wouldn't it be smart to also find a way to distract his second in command, who's supposed to be looking out for him? While Captain Mercer is being distracted by a new love interest, perhaps the Krill have set up a similar distraction for Commander Grayson as well.
Oh, hey, Captain. Cassius.
Oh, hey, Captain. Cassius.
Who is crazy hot. He can cartograph my dark matter any day. I mean, if I wasn't totally a straight dude, who is definitely a man.
Huge penis.
And I know what you're thinking. JP, there's no way Cassius is a red herring. You're a lunatic. Sure, but I may just be the lunatic you're looking for, because I may be right. I've been right about so many other things. We'll just have to wait and see. But let me know what you guys think about it below. Another thing I wanted to point out that happened very quickly in the episode is the scene with Kelly and Bortus meeting about personnel in her office.
Thought you'd be glad to know they finally assigned us a new security chief. She'll be here next week.
There are many on board who will be pleased to know this.
That's right, Kelly revealed that next week we'll finally be meeting Alara's replacement as chief of security, Tala, played by Jessica Zor, who is also a Selayan. Don't ask me why they only decided to make a minor variation from Alara's character on the show and replace her with another Selayan, but I can't wait to meet Jessica. Hi, Jessica. After all was said and done, Ed made the dangerous decision to let Talea return to her people, despite going against Kelly's recommendations to adhere to Planetary Union regulations in the matter. But Ed decided that keeping the faith, that showing the Krill that humanity never gives up, will hopefully turn around the aggression that's been going on between their two worlds for the longest time.
Just do me a favor, okay? Take a message back to your people. We can keep fighting each other, or we can talk.
Ed's decision made Gordon realize that being part of command has a level of pressure attached to it that he might not be ready for, because if having to make those kinds of decisions is moving up, then he's moving out. As Ed watched Talea leave the Orville with only a sliver of hope of ever getting closer to a treaty between their two people, it's easy to see that this isn't over yet. I can't wait to find out if his words had any effect on her whatsoever, and honestly, I have to wonder if the rest of the Krill would even listen to her. Nothing Left on Earth Excepting Fishes was written by Brandon Braga and Andre Bormanis, and directed by the official bringer of Behind the Lens awesomeness, John Cassar. Special shout out to Joel McNeely, who composed the score for this episode as well. You did a beautiful job, Joel. All the forest scenes were filmed at Walt Disney's Studio Golden Oak Ranch, and the mountain sequence was filmed at Rocky Peak Park in California. The Orville this week gave us another shining example of just how wonderful it is to have classic sci-fi with a modern twist beaming into our homes every week. Nowadays, we can take the show on the go via our devices with the Fox Now app, and thanks to Wi-Fi, I can even watch Orville scenes from an Italian restaurant. Ooh, I also like Uptown Girl. That's a good song.
Yeah, well, at least I know who Billy Joel is.
Okay, that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about today, and I talked about it. How about you? Do you think we'll ever be able to make peace with the Krill and break through their fundamentalist views of the universe? Or would that be like trying to celebrate Christmas in Fallujah? Does Gordon have what it takes to become a commander someday? Or is blue a bad color for him? Are you as excited as me to meet Jessica Zor next week? You can let me know what you think by joining the conversation below. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, and supporting my stupid show. If I only had the words to tell you just how much that really means to me. I'll see you really soon, and as always, I hope all your times are egotastic fun times. Love you, bye-bye! She can kill with a smile, she can wound with her eyes.
She can ruin your faith with her casual lies.
She only reveals what she wants you to see.
She hides like a child,
But she's always a woman to me. Love you, bye-bye!